Welcome to this video, my dear friends. In this particular video, I take upon a very specific aspect of medieval Christian mysticism, the great spiritual wisdom of Meister Eckhart. Meister Eckhart lived between 1260 and 1328, was a German Catholic theologian, philosopher, and mystic. His main interest was religion, spirituality, and theology. His teachings were very radical, and his sermons were a source of great spiritual wisdom. The following presentation is based on his various sermons and letters. In his sermon 14, he teaches that God is beyond all human understanding. God cannot be named or defined, and God cannot be comprehended by the intellect. Instead, God can only be experienced directly by the soul. In Sermon 11, he says, God is not a separate being, but the ground of all being. God is present in all things, and all things are present in God. This is today known as the doctrine of Panentheism. In Sermon 28, Eckhart teaches that the soul is a spark of the divine and has the potential to become one with God. He calls this birth of God in the soul. In Sermon 10, he says, the purpose of life, according to Eckhart, is to realize our divine nature and live in union with God. This is known as theosis or deification. In Sermon 5, he says, we can achieve union with God through a process of detachment, self-knowledge, and surrender. This process involves letting go of our ego and our attachment and surrendering to God's will. In Sermon 9, he says, we have to let go of the ego, which is the main obstacle for union with God. The ego is our false sense of self, and it is constantly trying to control and manipulate us. To experience union with God, we must let go of our ego and surrender to our true self, which is divine. In his letter to John of Strasbourg, he says, we must let go of our ego and our attachment in order to experience true freedom. The ego constantly trying to control and manipulate us, and it is the source of all our suffering. When we let go of our ego, we are able to experience true freedom and peace. Again in Sermon 11, Eckhart teaches that God is not a separate being, but rather the ground of all being. This means God is present in all things, and all things are present in God. In Sermon 24, he teaches that we are all interconnected and we are all one in God. He says that the divine unity, there is no difference between me and you. This means that we should treat all beings with respect and compassion, for all beings are manifestations of God. What a beautiful understanding. Far beyond his time. Today we are able to realize this more through an integration of science and theology. To conclude, I would like to quote Meister Eckhart and his great wisdom. The world is not a mere illusion, but a manifestation of God's divine presence. In every aspect of the created universe, one can discern a reflection of the divine and encounter the sacred. This is the beautiful wisdom of Meister Eckhart, and I have shared this with you for your deep reflection. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a great life.